All right, so there's this concept that I want to discuss with you guys that I was discussing with somebody yesterday of the concept of fabricated memories. And he kept asking me, "And you don't remember of when you were born?" And I'm like, "Yeah, there's certain things that I remember, like when I was around 3 and things like that, that I know that those are real core memories, and some that are built memories. I wouldn't necessarily call them fabricated memories. I think they're built memories based on the stories that the people around you say of that specific memory. And then your brain builds a either logical spoken memory that you can regurgitate, or it builds a Bella, go away with your shit. Go play over there. Or it builds a like a movie memory. For some people, it's a movie memory because sometimes when people are telling a story, um, like when I'm reading a book or something, I can totally and absolutely, without a doubt, create a how the character should look and stuff like that. However, when it's a built memory, it usually comes from the various variations of the story the family is telling. For example, if you happen to have uh, like like the story of when we got lost around the time we were 3 years old. So I use that story as an example a lot because I can totally tell it apart. And my birth memory is the same way, as in it's a built memory based on what doctors and the people around me spoke about that memory. So we got lost on our property in Hemet, and the dogs had actually taken us up to where the coyote cave was. And growing up, every time I went back to that property, I could always find that cave no matter what. No matter what, I could instantly, without a problem. I think that if I went there today, even though it has been, um, as long as it didn't blow up or remove the coyote cave that was under the very large rocks, it would still exist, right? So the core memory of me knowing where that cave is, that's a real memory. That's a true memory. Nobody told me how to get to that cave. No one showed me how to get to that cave. I just instinctively know how to get to that cave. But the story of how cops came to find us, about how they called the troopers and all that stuff, that's the built memory. That's the memory that your mind builds. And when people ask about that memory, it's usually a variation of it, or what you've compiled. And oftentimes, if you're smart enough, whatever matches in everybody's story, that's the part that's like for sure true. But what doesn't match is like the different perceptions of each individual who are telling you that story, like a game of telephone, right? So there's a lot of people who misconstrue built memories and fabricated memories because you would rather believe that they're fabricated and unreal. It doesn't mean that they're not real. It means that the people who perceive them differently. It's why cops struggle so much with witness statements, and they have to be able to tell the differences between what matches up in everybody's story and what is definitely just a perceptive input, whether it's from your sensory input, whether it's from your experience, or even your traumas, can really change your perceptions of what you see and what you don't see, and what you catch and what others catch and what others don't catch. You could be catching something that everybody else missed because your mind was built differently through that trauma. And so when I talk about my birth memory, it is like, to me, the memory of my birth is very like, I know that a lot of me feeling like I've been watched my entire life, and moving through life like I'm always being watched. One is because of the story of my birth and how I was an experiment from day one. And knowing that throughout school and stuff like that, when I went into school, how paranoid my mom and dad were about us going to the doctor and getting diagnosed and stuff like that, and how they would pull us out of class to measure our bones and check for scoliosis and things like that. It really made it clear that, for people like us, those health fairs was the only way they could get and gauge a real health understanding of what we were going through with our health and with our growth spurts and stuff like that, because a lot of our parents did not take us to a doctor regularly. So do not blame or accuse people of fabricated memories unless you're certain it's a fabricated memory. Because essentially, I don't believe there's a such thing as a fabricated memory. I think we build memories and we fill in gaps, but I don't think we fabricate them out of nowhere. I think each one of our memories, and that's why gaslighting and narcissistic abuse is so harmful, because your body and sometimes even your mind remembers things very differently than how people are trying to convince you that they happened. And there starts to be a split in what you know happened and what is being said happened. And you know the difference because your body responds. Even though things are all good or seemingly good and stuff like that, you're still very nauseous. Your body has physical reactions, shaking, sweating, blurred vision, tinnitus, coughing, runny nose, all kinds of very physical reactions, because your body knows that something's off. Okay? So when you're going about that, before blaming people of fabricating memories or before accusing them of this and that psychosis and all this bullshit, because a lot of you watching videos online and only watching parts of the videos for your convenience that help, oh, there's the proof. No, that's not the proof. Especially if you didn't watch all correlating videos and all the video, because each one of my videos describes what I've been saying for many, many years. I know I disassociate. I know that there's a lot of gaps in my memory. I get that. I've been aware of it for a very long time, and I've been trying to correct it without proper help, because essentially it makes it very hard to ask for help when you know there's something bigger going on, because your migraines have shown you that the body does really weird shit when the brain is sending weird signals. And instead of getting real help, every doctor or family member is sending you and calling you psychotic when that's not the case. In my particular case, it has not been the case. Every single time there's been an infection, a health problem, or a medication that I was reacting poorly to, or being exposed to black mold in my own home. So honestly, for you guys to sit there pretending, oh, you have to take responsibility and accountability for all your shit, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool, I have. You just don't like that my accountability and responsibility doesn't show up the way you wanted it to be. That it doesn't prove what you in your mind believe and continue to believe without any evidence or proof. Because the evidence and proof that you have also correlates with the evidence and proof of my infections, of my my medicine interactions and stuff like that, and my suicide attempts. It's not my fault that you guys didn't see the suicidal ideation. It's not my fault that you didn't see when I was suicidal and asking for help, and you guys just kept shutting the door in my face and telling me you got to go get help for this and for that, when it wasn't true. I took responsibility for my suicide attempts fully, and I'm living the responsibility of that, including not getting proper medical care because of my suicide attempts. Are you living the truth of what you saw? Or are you still projecting what you thought you saw? Because a lot of people watch my videos and have made up an opinion about me without knowing me. And I want to tell you, you're missing out on real wisdom and understanding of things that you just want to label either insanity or psychosis or spiritual psychosis or all kinds of bullshit, because you took it to that extreme, because you didn't know when to reel it in,